setting this up. I got both my laptop and my phone. I'm gonna see if I can get it actually work today. Is it already time for my weekly stream? Give me one sec. All right, cool. It looks like my internet's actually working today, so okay. How do I do this? Good evening, Yasmin. How are you? Good to see you. I'm setting up my laptop right now so I can see the comments easier. How's it going, Bo Cash? You got a sec. Let me pause the stream on my computer so I can switch over to the comments, and then we should be in business. All right, looks like everything's actually working this week. Excellent. Excellent. How many of you guys saw the video about the new Smart Spark LS? I'm so tired of saying Smart Spark. I'm just gonna call it the SSLS. Watching shows with my wife, having beer. Yeah, that's always fun. Good Sunday activities. I haven't seen the video yet, but I saw the Insta post. Well, it's nothing too crazy. It was just basically the unboxing of this. I haven't had a chance to install it on anything yet, but I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna move the box. I don't really need the box. The plan for this thing. I'm just checking if all the instructions. I should take those out. The plan for the SSLS is I've got a 4.8 that I'm going to set up inside my new shop area, and I'm going to go ahead and strip off the harness, strip off the intake off my truck, and install it on the 4.8, and then I'm going to install this and see if I can get it to run on the bench. So that'll be fun. Does more stuff in the box come with the MSD or the new one? It's really the same thing. I'm gonna do like a comparison, but it's pretty close to the same thing. What I do notice is that the MSD, the 6014, it has a plug for the coolant temperature sensor, whereas the SSLS does not. And it's not a really big deal. All it does, the coolant temperature sensor, the driver in there, it changes the timing table when the engine's cold, so it adds more timing. You can set up how many degrees to have a easier cold start, and then as it warms up, it starts to back off timing to whatever your natural timing table is. So it's not but it's not essential. I mean, most people don't even hook theirs up, and it's just more things that can go wrong, especially if you're not really too worried about cold starts. Usually everybody with the carburetor warms up their car anyway before they take off, so it's really not a big deal. I don't use it well, I guess that's not really fair. I tried to use it on my original box, but the temp sensor didn't. The temp sensor worked. The driver inside the 6014 did not work, so I just turned off the functionality on that. And then for the new box, the temp sensor does work, but I'm just so used to doing it without it, so I just left it disconnected. So when I saw that the new harness doesn't come with an ECT plug, I really wasn't too surprised, and I'm honestly not going to miss it. I'm sure it's going to be fine. What I do notice is that the harness is shorter, significantly shorter, and like from the main sensors to the part that it connects to the box, you're looking at a couple feet shorter, I think. So I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get this all the way inside my cab So which is why I'm going to try it on a 4.8 that I have before I actually get it loaded into my truck, because if I'm going to have to extend wires to actually get it mounted inside my dash, that is going to be an issue for me. So the 6014 comes with more than enough wire for you to be able to set it up however you want to, or put it wherever you want. So we'll just have to see. If anything, it might be a good idea for them to sell a like an adapter harness that'll let you just like extend this. But then again, these are douche connectors, so you could just make your own extended harness. So that's not a big deal either. So I'll talk to the head honcho over there and see what he thinks. But first, I do want to get it running on the LS and then go from there on the 4.8. So I've got a couple other projects. I think I don't know if I actually showed you guys what I ended up doing with this thing. Let's see. I still have a bunch of stuff from my accelerator pump video. I have not been able to focus a lot on carburetor stuff. I did film 2 videos, I think. So I have 2 videos ready to go to start editing, but I've just been super busy at the house doing like a bunch of house stuff. So I am getting my own personal 50cc accelerator pump ready to go. So I've got the diaphragm, I've got the housing, that's ready to go. I think the arms are different on the the arms are physically different on the 50cc and the 30cc, so they have a different angle, so they work slightly differently. I had a pair of factory brass looking ones, and I was just gonna swap the arms around, but I guess I will not be doing that. But I am gonna take it apart. I'm gonna take this little spring pin. I'm gonna pull that off, pull this arm off, and then I'm gonna sandblast the housing, maybe powder coat it, get it nice and clean, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do with the actual arm. There's not a lot of clearance, and if I do, maybe I'll just polish the arm, because if I do any kind of coating, it's probably going to drag, and if it drags, it's going to be an issue. I really don't want it to drag. So I have that. Same thing with this one. This one's a little bit more rusted. It uses a nut that has like a little triangle on it, so it's has kind of like a what do you call it? It's kind of like a lock. Has like a lock. It's like a lock nut. So I'll be removing the spring and this plunger out of the 50cc accelerator pump. I'm going to remove the nut, pull that off, sandblast the arm, powder coat that, and then the plunger I'm probably going to leave alone. Yeah, I'm probably going to leave the plunger alone. But the spring, I might polish the spring. So it just depends. So I've got that, I've got the diaphragm, I got the housing, and then the spring, I don't really have a spring for it. I will be modifying one to make it work. So I've got this extra one, and basically to modify these things, I've already had to modify 3 of them. For whatever reason, whenever I take apart carburetors with 50cc accelerator pumps, they don't ever come with the spring. And I've never had to buy a kit. I just end up modifying the springs. So I don't even know where the spring is from, but the difference between this spring and that spring, the diameter of the bottom is the same, but for a 50cc you have to make it a little smaller so it can fit inside this cup. Let's see what Bo Cash has to say. Hate to do this, but I have to pop in and say, hey, please start or selling shirts. Hope you're doing well, and I have to catch you in the next stream. The next one, Bo Cash, good to see you, buddy. No problem. It's always good to see you. It's always good to see a bunch of you guys that I see more and more regularly. Cash, I mean, before I even got to 1,000 subs, he was already there. A couple of you guys, Chevy Rell was another guy, or is another guy. I still see him quite frequently. A couple of you guys have been around for quite a bit now. Yeah, see, so the only thing I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to modify this spring so it'll sit inside this right here. If if you compare this to the 30cc, the actual dish is considerably bigger on the 30cc. So I'm going to be I gotta shrink this down a little bit. It's really not a big deal as long as it fits how it's supposed to. It doesn't matter what kind of spring is in there. You finished pouring my concrete? Part of it. I finished pouring part of the concrete. I'm almost there. A little ways away. I dug out the foundations today. I almost ran out of time to go do this stream, but I did have to finish that up. So I'm going to be in the next couple days. I got to pour the foundations along the edges before I can pour the slab that goes in the middle. And gals, are you asking about a woman? I'm not exactly sure. What do you mean by and gals? Maybe autocorrect, but maybe let's see. So tomorrow I've got work. Tuesday I've got my chiropractor. Maybe Wednesday. Wednesday I'll be pouring the actual foundations because I only dug them out today. So I'm going to be mixing and pouring the edges so I can get the walls up again, or at least one side. I still have to do the other side. I'm going to be posting up a video about that as well. Let's see, how are we doing here? Yeah, see, there we go. For the most part, I gotta kick this in a little bit more right here. A little bit of finessing, no big deal. You want to turn this more into like a beehive. You stated, guys, I'm a woman that follows you too. Really? I always thought that Yasmin was a woman or was a guy. I always thought. Oh man, that's embarrassing. Honestly, I always thought that Yasmin was a guy. So sorry about that. Embarrassing. I didn't realize that. I don't like to assume whether a name belongs to either a man or a woman. But I assume that most of my followers were guys. Well, 99.9 I'm sure are, but I kind of messed up on that one. I screwed the pooch on that one, ladies and gentlemen. Fail. Fail. Ugly? Me? What did I do? I know what I did. I lost the screws. So I think on your Instagram, I mean, I don't really go back and like spy on you guys, but I thought I saw both a guy and a girl on the profile picture, so I just kind of assumed. So that's my bad. My bad, Yasmin. Oh man, that's embarrassing. Let me grab a little box of screws because I'm out of the 50cc accelerator pump screws. So let me tilt the camera a little bit. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna move the drill over here. Yeah. Is there anybody else in the comments right now that I'm insulting? You can tell me now while we're on the conversation. We both follow you, but I found your channel. Oh, really? So you guys, huh? So you guys found me on Instagram first. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that you guys found me on Instagram. Where is the screwdriver? I got jacked. Maybe I'll be able to use a flathead. I should have tightened it up. Yeah, see, there we go. One. Gotta be resourceful. Two. This what do you call this thing? This float bowl is for never could figure it out actually. I'm just doing some final adjustments on his carburetor before I ship it out to him. I was gonna leave this fancy chrome 50cc accelerator pump, but it's gonna need a lot more juice to get it to run lean. So we're gonna need to upgrade. Found you here on YouTube first and Instagram. Oh, okay. All right, that makes more sense because you've been around for a while. I know that for a fact. I mean, I only made it to 1,000 subs. I think back in March, and by then you were already there. So yeah, so I know you've been here for a while now. Yeah, see, so spring, accelerator pump housing, and then I just need the screws. The 50cc uses a slightly longer screw, so you just gotta be careful. When you buy the kits, it's supposed to come with them, so you should be pretty safe unless you lose one, in which case you're a little out of luck. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna polish the heads for these screws when I assemble it. Where are we from? You recall? Do I remember where you guys are from? Off the top of my head, I can't. I don't remember. I mean, I could cheat and then just look it up on Instagram. I'm sure we've talked about it. I've had conversations with you guys. But I don't remember exactly. You'd have to tell me. Somewhere, it's not somewhere in Latin America, is it? Or is it here in the US? Feel free to let me know. There we go. Fully functioning. This thing's gigantic. Massive. Looks super funny. Running a 50cc pump on a 4160 style float bowl. But this is ready to go. And then this is a 3/8 inlet. So that's ready for a 3/8 line as well. Venice Beach, California. Okay, yeah. So you're from Venice Beach. And then the guy who just left, Bocash, he's from, I think, Bakersfield as well. So you two are from California. And then, let's see, there's a couple more that I know you guys are out there in California. Speaking of Venice Beach, I think that's really close to Long Beach. So Long Beach has this really big swap meet, like a car swap meet, that we tend to go to. I think it's either once a month or once every couple months. And I don't think they've closed it down. And I just went there, what was it, a couple weeks ago, so I'm planning to go again. sometime soon. As soon as I finish settling in, I've just been settling into the new house, so maybe one day. I mean, last time I went, I did announce it on the Instagram that I was gonna hit up the that what do you call that thing? The swap meet. So hopefully next time I'm out there, you guys have a chance to stop by and uh, and hang out for a bit. I try to get rid of all my old junk. Putting that ignition box on for 8 on the stand just to check for functionality. Really wouldn't be able to test the load and torque and value. Vacuum function, I understand what I mean. Was there 2 weeks ago? All right. First Yasmin and then James. Yeah, I think the last one was about 2 weeks ago. I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago. And then the next one, I think is, I don't know if they're going to do one for November or if they're going to do one for December. I have to check it out. And if not, then it'll probably be January. Yeah, I think it's once a month. I think you're right, Yasmin. James, yeah, basically, I want to hook it up. I'm going to get the 4.8 set up, put some exhaust on it, point it outside of the shop. And then I'm going to set up the Smart Spark, the SSLS, and I'm going to set that up basically on a run stand. And the only thing I want to do is make sure that it functions, it turns on. The real reason I want to test it on the bench first is because when I set up my 6014, I ran the harness through my entire cab. So in the middle of the valley cover, down the back of the block, going along the firewall, going into the support on the side of the engine, going back into my truck, going back up the back side of the firewall into the fuse box, and then to remove all of that's going to be a pain in the butt. So I'd rather test it out, make sure everything on the box is good, hook it up to the laptop while it's off the vehicle. And since I've got to start removing the components for the carburetor on my truck anyway, I'm going to go ahead and remove it while I have it off. I'm going to put it on the 4.8, get it to run, make sure all the sensors work, and then I'll hopefully go into the laptop and start checking on what the software looks like and everything. So there is a lot to go over when I do end up setting it up. But the second thing as well, there was another reason as well I wanted to do it on the side, and I'm losing track of my memory, but there was another reason I wanted to set up the SSLS on outside. But after I get it to run, it should start right up. Oh, I remember now. So the SSLS is set up for like the front cam sensor on the LS engines. So you know how in the 4.8, 5.3, 6.0 on all the truck motors, we have the cam sensor in the back of the block, and the LS1, the LS2, the LS6, those all have the cam sensor on the front timing cover. So from when I was talking to the tech support, they were letting me know that it might not start if it's running on the truck sensor, or if it does start, it's just going to take a long time or a little while for the box to register that the engine is cranking, and then it'll start up. Whereas the 6014, it came with the harness for either the front or the rear cam sensor, and as it like starts right up instantly, which is really nice about the 6014. It doesn't matter which one because it comes with harnesses for both. So it might just be like a cost saving measure. So I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to test that out. If I can get it to run without having to change the cam sensor, then I'm going to install it as is on my truck. If I can't get it to run as is, I'm going to have to swap out the front timing cover with the front cover. And then I'm also going to have to switch out the cam gear with the cam gear that has a sensor on it. So that's probably going to be a pretty big deal, but I want to find out if you can do it without it. Even if it takes a little bit longer to start, I think it might be worth it to just run the OE sensors on the 4.8, 5.3, 6.0 rather than get like a $60 or $80 timing cover, and then get your hands on the gear for the LS1, and then get the sensor. And then you got to take the whole front apart, so you have to take your accessory drive off, and you take off the cover. While you're in there, you might as well replace the front main seal. If I do have to change the cover, I am going to be installing a cam in the 5.3 finally, so I'm going to take out the stock 5.3 cam. I'm probably going to get the Brian Tooley Racing, um, the truck stage 1 view. That's going to be my cam that I'm going to grab. And supposedly, when you do buy the BTR cams, they're giving out a set of valve springs for free. So I think it's like I want to say it's a $400 kit, but it comes with springs and a cam, so it's not too bad. Plus, it's BTR, so you know that they make pretty good. They make pretty good. Um, they make pretty good cams. I'm not going to be worried about the cams running flat or anything. And I might I get like a lifter tick when it cold starts. So I might go ahead and order a set of new lifters. Just to, since I'm already taking it apart, might as well put in new lifters, put in new of the trays on the LS, and then check out if the heads are okay. Check out, make sure I'm not getting any kind of detonation. Make sure I'm not getting any pitting inside the combustion chamber. So it's kind of like a big process, and my truck's going to be out out of commission probably all winter, and I kind of want to refrain from doing that. So if I can find out the important stuff first, I can plan for it ahead of time, so I don't have to tear apart the whole thing, and then I'm just waiting on parts, getting it all back together. So I want to get the majority of the videos done before Christmas. And Adam from JMS, he said that he wanted to do kind of like a what do you call it? Like a promo code where you, if you guys do decide to get it, you guys can input the promo code and you guys can set it up so that way you guys can get the SSLS a little bit cheaper. So I'm gonna find out if it's even a good fit for truck engines, or if it's preferred to go just for the standard car LS engine. So we'll find out. And obviously I'm going to give my honest opinion. If it doesn't work for truck engines and it really is a hassle to get it started, or it doesn't start, I'm going to go ahead and point it out. I'm not just going to let it slide and just say, yeah, go buy it, and then just buy all that other stuff. If it's not worth it, then it's not worth it. But I've been having a lot of issues with my 6014, and I have a new issue that I'm going to put up on a video, that recently I'm having this problem with the 6014 where the engine, I'll start it up and it'll run, it looks like it's running lean. So the AFR, the air fuel meter, it reads lean. So it'll read like 13, 1401, 1501. And then if I go to accelerate, it'll jump up to like 1801, 1901, but it'll hesitate, but it's not, it doesn't run lean. So it's actually misfiring. So what's going on is that I think something's going on inside the 6014, because as soon as I turn off the truck and I turn it back on, it'll all go back to normal. All my AFRs go back to normal, and I go to accelerate, and it goes back to the way it's supposed to be, which runs fine. And then every once in a while I'll turn it off, and then I'll go walk away, I'll come back, turn it back on, and it runs super bad, misfires all over the place. And I just recently realized what was happening, because I drove like an hour and it was just running like horrible. Going to try this setup on 5.3 for our 65 Falcon. After it, yeah, if it works, I'll let you guys know if the setup works. I don't want you guys to, because the big thing about buying the SSLS is that it's probably the same price or very close. I think it might be a little bit more expensive than the MSD, but the timing cover and the sensor, they're gonna run you another $100 by themselves. So, and then you have to get the cam gear. So then it ends up being like $200 more expensive if you go the SSLS route than if you go the MSD route. But from what I've been talking to these guys and the way they're making it sounds like it's more of a bulletproof system that you're not going to have any issues. If I set this up on the 4.8 and it just won't run, and then I install all the other stuff and I get it to run, but it's still having a bunch of issues, I will let you guys know, because if it's going to have issues for me, it's going to have issues for you guys. But I do think it's going to be a good, mainly because it is made in USA. Quality control is going to be there, not like the MSD stuff. So I do have faith, and I hope you guys have a little bit of patience, guys and girls, have a little bit of patience with me, so I can go ahead and get that review out to you guys ASAP. I think somebody's been coming in here and stealing my screwdrivers because I can't find. I bought a whole set of screwdrivers and now I can't find any of the ones that I normally use. Too crazy. What is going on? Could be haunted. This could be a haunted house. Ugh. Which one? What are the other ones? Yeah, this is a broken 4780. So it's a 478. It's an 800 base plate, but it has a broken ear, so it's actually useless. And it uses the same throttle plates, 172 and 173, as a 750. So I'll be able to reuse the throttle. I'll be able to reuse the shafts, and I'll be able to reuse the throttle blades, and then everything else will probably just get scrapped. This was a double pumper base plate, but not going to be any good anymore. Okay. Yeah, I do try to save as many of these parts as I can, but you can't save them all. And if you gotta throw it away, you gotta throw it away. There's nothing you can really do to save broken base plates. You can try to weld it back, but it's just not. I don't think you're gonna get it to go on straight after you've broken the ear off. So seems tight. Let's see. Gotta make sure this thing's gonna come out. If you end up snapping the screw inside of the shaft, you're gonna be in for a world of hurt. It is not fun. Because it's so easy to strip these things. Let me grab the Dremel. Where did I leave it? That's right here. Yeah. Yeah, the little screws are brass, so you're not really hurting the throttle shaft when you do this. You're just taking, because they get stamped when they get installed back out and fall into your engine and kill it. So it's a safety measure. So when you reinstall it back into your motor, you want to use some sort of Loctite or stake them yourself. You don't have any issues, so just rest. And I got the same thing to these two, but first I'm going to go ahead and remove. I can do it. No, it's not going to be able to do that with this one. Where are my other screwdrivers? Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to Harbor Freight and go pick up another set of screwdrivers because I just can't find the screwdrivers that I need. So ain't that a pain? Let me see in here if I got anything. I have a bunch of like brand new power valves that aren't any good because I never end up using them, and they end up drying out. So try not to buy any carburetor stuff if you're not going to be using it anytime soon, because it will dry out, and especially accelerator pumps, if they dry out, they're just not going to squirt at all. You're going to run into a bunch of issues if you do end up doing that yourself. Let's see. What do I got? What do I got? Nope. Nothing. Let me check over here. You couldn't weld it on anyways. You don't have the piece. Yeah, you're right. I don't have it. It's been broken for a really, really long time, as you guys can see right there. It's been. We got. I think I said this in the last stream, but I got this 800 from a gentleman who sold us a 70 Challenger, and it came with this carburetor. It was an 850 double pumper that he said he was going to run on a 440, but that he dropped and broke it, so we would have to get another base plate for it. But an 850 is really, really big, and I don't think we'd ever run an 850 on a 440. I think a 750 or a 30 or a 780 would probably be a better fit than a 850, just because of the way the throttle bores and the Venturis are. Like the 950 HP is probably be a way better carburetor than the 850. But yeah, you're right. I don't have the piece anyway, and even if I did, I'd have to sandblast this to get all the junk out. I'd have to heat it up, like preheat it to get all the contaminants out, and then I'd have to match it almost exactly, and then I'd have to have the bottom of the base plate milled or something in order to make sure everything's flat. And by the time you do all that, it's just cheaper and easier to get yourself a better or a newer replacement base plate. And I think they're like $100. So they're not cheap, but they're probably going to be the same as buying a new one. So that's not going to be, you're not going to be saving any money. Plus a new piece will have, you won't have to worry about leaks inside the throttle shafts or anything. I did try out the brass insert kit for these Holley shafts, and it looks like it's going to take care of a lot of issues. So I have some old that I have to repair, so I can get them back working on a 650 that I have. I think it's a double pumper base plate. So if I can get the shafts to not leak air, or at least not a lot of air, and get it running normally, then I'll be able to reuse a lot of these base plates that I have that are pretty much dead. There goes another one. And then I've just got to go ahead and remove this Phillips, and then I should be able to slide the whole thing out. So let me see if I can find myself a Phillips. If not, I'm going to be out of luck today. Let's see. I'm looking for a Phillips screwdriver, but it doesn't look like I have one anywhere around here for some reason, which is weird. Super weird that I don't have Phillips. But I do have this to show you guys. So this is the brass insert that comes when you install the kit from Carb Junkies. I think I showed you guys last time. And where we go? These little inserts. I haven't done a video on it because I haven't tested it. I want before and after, but I haven't had a chance to really do it. So this is the little bushings, little brass inserts that come with the kit, and then it comes with this little reverse cut. There's like a pilot and then the reamer right here. So just really, you just fit it in through one side and then just ream it out all the way through, and then just give yourself enough room to install one of these. So hopefully I'll be able to get it going but it won't be right now because super busy. The only reason I'm playing with these carburetors right now, anyways, because I did want to do this live stream. Haven't done a lot of carburetor stuff, so it's always fun to get back into things. I'm trying to think of where I have. I mean, I have screwdrivers at the shop or in the barn, but I don't want to go out to the barn. And then I took my box of actually I might have one. Bingo. Bingo, got it. Okay. Okay. There we go. Back in business. Yeah, I do want to take it apart just so I can start throwing stuff away that I don't need, don't want. Start cleaning all the extra screws that I have laying around. Like all this stuff. That's for the choke. This one's for the mechanical secondaries. Right here. It doesn't even have a cam on it. You don't think you could take apart that tapping lifter and clean it or find out what's happening and buying a whole another set? Because we used to take them apart and stretch the spring. I'm sure you could, but mine's a junkyard engine, so it already had God knows how many miles. I'm gonna say at least 180,000. Plus, I've already put over 10,000 by myself. So if you really think about it, those are like 200,000 mile lifters. I might as well just, it's been running good except for the ticking, and it only does it when it's cold, so it's not like it's anything too annoying. But as soon as it warms up, it runs fine. It might just be the fact that they're dirty. I'm not very good at changing the oil often, so it could just be that it needs a couple more frequent oil changes, maybe with some synthetic oil instead of the conventional stuff that I run in it. So it might want some synthetic oil, maybe some thinner stuff than the stuff I usually run in it as well. Get it going, get a couple oil changes in there. It might be able to just be cleared up, but if I'm going to the trouble of installing a cam and everything, I kind of do want to just give the engine a little more new life, if you know what I mean. But I'm sure you could just rebuild them. Just go through, clean them, put them back together. Maybe stretch the spring like you said. Definitely doable. I'm not saying you can't. But I guess cost is a big factor too, so I might have to look at how much it costs for a new set. I haven't even looked into it really. I'm just waiting to I gotta pour the concrete finish pouring the concrete in my studio room so I can actually have the engine in there without sitting on the dirt. Because it was an old barn and I'm turning into a shop, so those used to be stables. And this thing's annoying. Yeah, they used to be little stables, and now one's gonna be an engine room and one's gonna be my new editing studio. And when I finally get around to it, so when I get the 4.8, and I might even, if I can figure out which cylinder it is, or at least take them apart, I could, since we're not gonna really do anything with the 4.8, it's gonna go in a scout next year, so I could just take it apart, take the heads off, look at it, make sure everything's good, and oh, there he goes. And then if I need some of the lifters out of it, I can just pull them out, and then when we get that one ready for the scout, I'll just go to the junkyard and pick up a couple more. I mean, not a big deal. So let's go ahead and remove this. These older carburetors have like a square head, whereas the newer ones have like a round head. I don't know if I like either design. Way, some of them have like a knurled edge. I mean, you could buy like oversized head screws for this, just so you can do it by your finger, with your finger. But I don't ever mess with the actual spring that often, or with the set screw too often. I do it once, once when I get the idle set up on my Holley, and then that's it. After that, everything else is adjustments. I mean, if I do have to move the if I do have to move the transition, the idle feed restrictors, then I do end up having no. Well, kind of. It depends. It depends on what I end up doing with it, but I don't really I don't mess with it enough to warrant getting myself the knurled edge shouldered bolts for this. But you could get it. I've seen a really trick um, arm for the secondaries where you can adjust it. You know how this one's got the set screw on the bottom? They sell a kit where you can install it on the arm and it actually flips it so the set screw ends up on top, and then you push on the carburetor body to give yourself that adjustment instead of taking it off and doing it from the bottom, which is actually really cool. I do plan to do that on a couple of my carburetors, especially if they are 4-corner. My Barry Grant has it on the top, but my Holley does not. So I do have to, what the heck? I do have to go through and set that up. This is getting tough. I'm gonna run it back in. Yeah, I've never fully taken apart the base plate on this 800. So you figure that this thing was sitting around for about 30 years before we got around to it. So it's gonna have some junky stuff inside of it. Oh man, come on. And then I recently got rid of a bunch of my extra carburetor stuff. I donated them to a carburetor builder I think in Kentucky. I want to say it was in Kentucky. He does like full restorations, and I had a bunch of old OEM Ford float bowls that do nothing for the performance scene. So I just went ahead and gave it to him and said, here, you could probably use them for something. But I got rid of like 16 float bowls that they were just taking up space, and I just didn't really want them. This thing is a pain. Okay, come on. I want to just go ahead and finish taking this apart so I could just throw the whole thing in the scrap pile, and next time I go to the recycler, I could just get rid of this. But looks like I am losing this fight. And this carburetor wasn't even, I don't even think it was a 4-corner idle carburetor. This was just like a 2-corner 800 CFM. So looks like it's going. It's going. Going, gone. Come on. Looks like we're almost there. I think next time I'll use a wrench. There we go. Finally. It's a little galled up, which is weird because this is aluminum and this is steel. So I'm going to put that to the side. I'm just going to pull the set screw off, and then I've got to find a wrench that'll fit around this, and I'll be able to do it. 8mm 5/16 socket will take that. Yeah, you were right, but I have to go all the way down to the barn and go grab that. So I'd be gone for several minutes, and I figure I might as well stay here. I'm here streaming anyway. Might as well just struggle with it on camera. But we got it out. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the set screw. I don't ever notice that these things are missing or anything, but you never know. I do want to just salvage whatever I can. You never know when you might. I mean, I buy used carburetors all the time, like all the time. So they're always, not always, but a lot of times they are missing something. And there we go. This one came out pretty easy, just a regular set screw. What are you working on right now, James? I keep wanting to call you Lewis, but your name is James. I'm try to cheat. My whole toolbox, like where I used to stream, I had my whole toolbox there, so I was able to just grab whatever tool I needed out of the box. But until I go back and go get it, I'm gonna be a little short-handed on tools. So I just gotta work with what I got, little caveman techniques. Hopefully it works. It's working. It is not working. I lied. I think this one's a 3/8, I think. Should be a 3/8 wrench, should be able to take that off. So I guess I'm not gonna be able to scrap it yet. Yeah, too bad. But it's almost done. I'm gonna show you where I messed up. It was on this one. This one is out of a, where is, let's use this. A 76, I want to say this was a 650 base plate. Oh yeah, this was a 650 base plate. Actually, this is right here. Nope. Yeah, this was a 650, 750 base plate. I know this one's got the power valve protection on it, but I know it was because this was the one that I used to have on my truck, and it was leaking air from right here. So now that I've done the repair on it, I've got to go ahead and put it all back together. The issue is that for whatever reason, it occurred to me to take off the throttle blades on all of them, not just the front, but all of them, and left this stuck in here. So now I've got to find a way to remove this brass. This brass set screw, which isn't a big deal, it's just brass. But I'll be taking that apart and putting it all back together. I think I wanted to sandblast this and powder coat it while I was already there. Just cover up all the gasket surfaces and all the orifices, sandblast all the edges, take off all this casting flash, and then just maybe set this to go get a nice clean mill or a block sander. So this is a 650, 750. And then I have another one right here. This one's off of a 3310. This is off of one. The main bodies for this one, I traded for some demon stuff. Trying to find a 208C transfer case for my K10, but I have the new 50 in there, and I'm just not impressed with it. That's why I'm waiting to see what happens. Put that in. Oh, that's right. I do remember that you had the K10 with the 350. Yeah, I mean you can't really beat the LS, but it really comes down to a matter of cost, and not everybody really wants to get that involved in their project, especially if money is a little bit tighter. Especially right now that we're going to go back into lockdown again, and a lot of people are going to start losing their jobs again. So that's probably not the first thing you're thinking about. I do want to get installed. Like I said, I just need to pour the concrete. Just one room. I got to dig it out, pour the concrete in there, bring this 4.8 from my parents' house here, set it up, get it to run. If I can get it to run on the truck sensors, then it's going to be perfect. It'll be 100%. But if I can't, then that's another story altogether. and it might deter a lot of people from actually going and buying this if they can't get it to run on a truck without swapping or anything. So fingers crossed to see if this thing's actually. David, he he told me that he's seen it actually turn on. So if it'll turn on for one guy or another guy, it should turn on for me. So we'll see. Okay. Do you think if you re-gear your rear axle, James, that you might be able to utilize more of the torque on the 350, or is it just like super underpowered that you can't really get it to take off? What do you think? Because I swapped over to 456 gears from the 373 that were in it, and it really changed the truck. I'm able to tow a lot more than I was before, go into fifth gear when I wasn't able to, climb a lot of different hills that I wasn't able to before. And it really brings out the potential of the little 5.3, makes it way better than the 318 that I had in there before. So I'm wondering if gearing is an issue, unless you've already done it, in which case then you might just want more power, in which case you might want to get yourself a 6-liter, which is good. I forgot what state you're in, but depending on the state, it might be super easy to find them at the junkyard. Here in California, though, they're very, very difficult to get at the junkyard. Jesus Christ. This thing's tight. Super tight. Like I did say, I do have access to a LQ9 for like $350 with 100,000 miles on it. So I would rather put that in there with the cam and springs and a carbureted fuel system. Yeah, if you can get it for $350, well, then you're good to go. Most of the cost is for a 6.0. It's the engine, and then the ignition module. So then you have to 350 stuff. Like I think I told you last time. I feel like I did. We're in the middle of deciding to either swap out the 383 small block Chevy out of my friend's C10, or LS swap it. But he just has so many parts and so much money dumped into the 383 that in the long run it's cheaper just to keep it the way it is and just have the engine fixed than it is to switch over to everything, because you'd have to get everything, the whole engine, accessories, etc., and then you'd have to get rid of the intake off the small block Chevy, the headers, the engine heads. So then you have to buy all the adapters, the motor mounts, and it just becomes more and more and more money that I don't think the average person really wants to spend. But it just depends on what you're planning to do, what your plans are with everything. So this thing is tight. I mean, this thing was super rusted, so I can imagine this thing is super tight. Let me get rid of this thing. This arm is annoying me. I don't know where this thing was sitting, but it's just all super rusty. I put some lube on it. disintegrate a little bit of the rust. This thing needs to get sanded down. Oh yeah, this arm is toast. Well, I mean, after I sandblast this thing, powder coat it, should be good to go. Yeah, that little arm, probably just gonna sand the surface on it. That should be good to go as well. I've already removed the stuff on this side. So it's just a matter of replacing this. Yeah, I'm in Louisiana and that's pretty cheap here. It has a Lunati Voodoo cam in it. Has E28 springs in it, but the springs, even though they're not that strong, they're still pulling the studs ahead, and I have to... Really? Really? It's pulling the rocker studs out of the heads? That's interesting. It's 97 Chevy extended cab, 5.3 carbureted. That's what you got, Frank? That's what's in your truck right now? Seems to be the go-to, getting rid of the old Vortec 350s and installing a 5.3. On the 90s trucks, it should be pretty easy, right? Frank, if you've done it, let me know. I've been thinking about buying a 90s. I used to have one, but a 90s, what do you call that? Like a Yukon or a Tahoe. Not really like the Suburbans, because the Suburbans are really long, but like the Tahoes are really short. I used to have a 4x4 automatic. I love the way it looked, but it just guzzled gas like crazy. Crazy. We traded it for a dump trailer back in 2008, which was actually a pretty good deal. Yeah, he's basically committed now with all that do, re. Yeah, basically, after you're that deep into a motor, it's really hard to just sell everything, because it's all brand new stuff. He had just gotten it for his 383 project, his build, and now he's thinking about going LS. But now I'm pretty sure he's at the point where it's too late. You know, you already did everything. 32 IFR, 71 primary jets, 75 secondaries jets, 10.5 power valve. That's really interesting, Frank, that you went 71 primary, 65 secondaries, because that looks really similar to what I've got in my truck. My truck on the 650 Demon, I was running 70 in the primary, 65 in the secondaries with an 8.5 power valve, but my IFR was a 30 instead of a 32, because I did lean it out a little bit. I think a 10 point, you might, I don't know what, like, how your truck runs, but you might want to try out an 8.5, unless you're having issues with it leaning out. But with the 32 IFR and a 71 primary jet, I don't think you're going to be leaning out, so you might want to try an 8.5 power valve. But if you tried it, let me know. I do get curious about what other people are doing with their engines. Maybe sometimes it only takes like a comment or an off-the-hand joke to get the brain moving, thinking about other stuff. And then pretty soon you're figuring out all these complicated issues that you just solved just by having a quick conversation. So I like to see what everybody else is building. These screws are something else, man. Jeez. I feel like busting out my torch and just melting the little brass suckers, but I can't do that. That is tight. That is tight. this isn't even the the screwdriver I'd like to use. All right, what does James say? Now there is a guy down here who has a smoking deal on a small block 406. Tricked out, brand new. And black brawler 750. He just wants to go LS and he wants 2,000 for it. A 406 small block Chevy. I'm assuming it's got Vortec heads on it, but a lot of people like to use the older kidney shaped chamber heads. And then the brawler 750 should be like 600 brand new. So I mean that's 600 right there. So yeah, and then if you include all the machine work to get it to a 406 and then the then 2,000 is a really good deal. So if the LS doesn't work out for you, James, you could go you can go with that 406. Frank, it runs good. Just on my 2 cents, I'm getting 5.3 in the OBS extended cab. My vacuum is 22 in park with brakes on, 500 lift, 15 LSA tow cam. Yeah, that's pretty moderate. The even the Brian Tooley Racing Stage 1 truck is a 553 with a 12. It's either a 11 or 12 LSA. So it's got a bigger lift, but it's got less LSA, so it should run pretty good. I guess it just really depends on your particular application. Even my 5.3 with the stock cam, but with the 625 or even the 650, it still had really good low RPM performance. But that has a lot to do with the gearing than it actually does with the motor. Yasmin Gamboa, 12/12/21 is the next Long Beach car show. Let's check my calendar and let me see what day that is. 12. It should be a Sunday, right? Or is it a Saturday? Let me check. 12/12. Oh, it's a Saturday. 12/12. Yeah, we should be able to head out there. Yeah, I should be able to go out there. I usually take like a bunch of my stuff and just sell anything I don't need, like old carburetor parts, spacers, adapters. I have some wheels to get rid of. So I usually go as a vendor because the vendor spot's almost as expensive as just a regular spectator or somebody going in there. So for like, it ends up being cheaper because I go with like my parents and stuff. My dad really likes to go to that kind of stuff. They go more often than I do. But I do have a bunch of stuff I need to get rid of, especially all my EFI LS stuff that I'm not gonna want. I usually take it over there, see if somebody wants it. I do tend to like the carburetor setups a lot more. All right, I'm gonna take a break from this thing. I'm gonna switch over to a different base plate. I'm just taking apart a bunch of base plates now, just for the fun of it, really. I'm gonna leave this thing soaking. I'll get to it with a different screwdriver later. In the meantime, I'm gonna grab a different one. Rally wheels? Nope, no rally wheels. In fact, we're looking for a set of 16-inch rally to put on a Mopar that we have. So none of that. Let's see. I'm using a 600 quick fuel, glass bowl sides, 4-corner idle, adjustable vacuum secondaries to tune. I have not taken it apart in 3 years. You are the man though, working on the older carbs. Thanks a bunch, Frank. A 600 is actually. I've had really good luck with these on these LSs, especially if it's stock or fairly mild. Um, it produces really good vacuum. You get decent gas mileage. You're not sacrificing really a lot of power at all. If anything, you could go up to a 650 and have um, almost the same fuel economy. It changes a little bit, but you also unlock a little bit more power switching over to a 650. From what I've seen on the dyno graphs, that's I've seen that a 650 does have a little bit of improvement, but it's not that much. I think the engine they were testing it on was like 450 horsepower, and it gained, I want to say, 16 horsepower on the top end. So these engines produce maybe what, 350 horsepower at most, and then if it's like a pretty worn out motor, probably less, 325. And then with all the drivetrain losses and stuff, you're not going to really feel 16 horsepower. But you are going to feel that loss in MPG, though. One MPGs are so important. If you do go as a vendor, please post spot number so we can stop by. Oh, yeah, I will definitely let you know. Last time, it was just kind of out of the blue. I wasn't even going to go. And then last minute, I was like, let's just go. Let's see what it's like. And we actually did pretty good. So we accumulated some more stuff, and we're going to do it again. We just have to be a little bit more smart next time. But yeah, every event that I plan to go to that's car related, I will end up posting it on the Instagram. So no worries there. Let's go ahead and remove this. I feel like this base plate's for a 600, but I don't actually know. There's a number on here. I got a question. A decently cam LQ4 with decent springs, like a stage 2 sloppy cam. Which carburetor, 650 or 750? Brawl. Okay, if they're both Brawl, I would probably go with the 650. Just so you can, like when you're doing burnouts and stuff, the smaller Venturi 650 will allow air. It'll like meter air better under a little bit lazier. If it was a 750 vacuum secondary versus a 650 double pumper, I'd probably go with the 750 vacuum secondary. Especially with the stage 2. The stage 2, I think it's like a 600 or a 585. I forgot what the lift is on that. But duration is like, it's like what is it, like a 228? I might be a 228 duration, I don't remember. But it's significantly more than like a towing cam or a towing, towing cam. The sloppy is more like a sporty cam. But it also depends on the type of car it's going in. If it's going in a really light car like a Miata or like a swapped out Honda Civic, it might be better for you to go with the bigger carburetor because the light weight will be able to offset the loss in vacuum from the Venturi. But if it's going in a truck, then I'd probably go with the 650 because you need that extra velocity. Infamous Nova, good to see you, buddy. Normally I see you on Instagram, so it's good to see you out in the stream. Yeah, but it really depends on application. I guess not just the motor specifications, but really like what car it's going to be in. I got power brakes, and my car 8's missing the port. Put a spacer work. Oh, okay. You got power brakes and your carb's missing the vacuum port on the display, right? Yeah, so it's missing this right here. So it's basically, it kind of looks like this. So yeah, you could actually. I would probably recommend if you're not already running a spacer, you would definitely benefit from or just installing the spacer just straight up, and then either let's see, I don't have one with me right now. They sell the plastic spacer, um, with the ports drilled out and tapped where you can run it, or they sell the aluminum spacers with the ports drilled out. If you need the thread so you can install a port for your vacuum, get yourself like a 2-inch aluminum spacer that has a port ready to go. I'm wondering though, your intake doesn't have a port for the power brakes. I'm not sure. I know the dual planes do, but the single planes might not. So let me know on that one as well. 1976 Monza hatchback with the glide. Mm, well, the Monzas are really small. They're like the Mustang 2 Super Victor for intake for LS. The Monzas are really small cars, really light. They're like 2,800 from the factory. After you gut them out, maybe put a cage in it, you're looking at like 2,400 pounds. I I'd probably go with the 750. It's a really light car. Um, I'd probably definitely go with the 750. I don't think you're. I mean, it really depends as well. Is it like? I'm assuming it's a race car, right? You're using this for racing, because if it is for racing, I'd go with the 750. If you're not using it for racing, it's kind of like a car that you drive on the weekends. I'd go with the 650. Um, Super Victor intake for LS. So the Super Victor might not have the those ports that we were talking about. So yeah, get yourself an aluminum spacer that has a port drilled into it. No, it doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, get yourself an aluminum spacer that has a port built into it, and you should be able to just run your power brakes off of that, no problem. And then if it only has one port, I mean, let's see. I don't think you're running the PCV on it, right? A lot of those people usually don't run the PCV on the LSs. I do, just to make sure everything's all hooked up. But a lot of people don't. Understandable though. But if you were running the PCV, you could tee it off and just use one port for both of them. But I'd probably much rather use a single port for your vacuum brakes and then not run the PCV if you had to pick one or the other. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have issues with this one. Street and strip, but I will be daily driving it sometimes. Um, let's see. So it's an LQ4, so it's a 6-liter, like a sloppy stage 2, in a 2,800-pound car that you're gonna daily drive sometimes. So you're gonna drive it on the weekends probably. A little bit of street racing and some strip time. It's you're looking at like 400 horsepower for the 6-liter. You're gonna be losing a little bit of ponies with the 650. I think like I want to say like 20 horsepower, but you're probably gonna gain a little bit more on the low end just for drivability's sake. It's kind of a toss up really, because on the 650 and the 750 the base plate's the same, right? The only thing that changes is the Venturi on top. So let me grab a main body. So this is 600. So this is a 600 Venturi. It's pretty small. I forgot what the size is on this one. Sorry about that. Yeah, I forgot the sizes on the 600, but the 650 has a slightly bigger one, and the 750 has an even bigger one than that. But the throttle bore is the same. So the rate of acceleration in terms of how much air gets through the throttle body is going to be the same. The only thing that ends up changing is how the booster is getting the signal. Especially be doing a little bit of street and strip, I'd probably go with the 750 just to be safe. You don't want to lose any kind of power. Plus, it's a really light car, so I don't think you're going to be losing anything at all. If you had to pick one, especially if you end up going, um, if you end up putting more power adders later, a 750 is definitely going to give you a little bit more room for improvement. And I don't think you're going to lose that much drivability, considering how it's set up. So, yeah, I'd probably go with the 750 still. And then, yeah, Infamous Nova. If you want to grab that, the aluminum spacer, the I don't know any brands in terms of spacers, or else I'd recommend you one. But you can really get one like off eBay or something, as long as it has a threaded port for you to be able to run it. You should be okay. So let me actually, I've got to drill this out as well. I'm just doing a lot of dremeling today, aren't I? I was gonna measure these holes, but my What's funny about the 600 is that on the 750 that I was just working on before this one, the holes for the bore, because it's bigger, it'll give me just enough room to clear it, but on the 650 it won't. Well, that makes sense. I'll just take it if any loss of power with my plate system. If any loss of power with my plate system, I don't think you're gonna have any real loss of power. The 6 liters to breathe. Infamous Nova. Well, I like to go with the 2-inch. If you got the hood clearance, definitely go with as big as you can. Or I've heard really good reviews on the Super Sucker spacer, so look into that one as well. So it's a 4-hole spacer, but with like a venturi built into it. Supposedly, it's supposed to really help your car breathe with larger carburetors. It helps it. Oh, no hood. Well, then just get a 2-inch. I put on my truck. I ran it with no spacer. I put a 2-inch spacer on it, and I had to jet up one side 750 with the turbo. Oh, well then. What kind of provision do you have to do for the booster when you have a turbo? How does that work? One of you guys. Can you run vacuum brakes like how you would normally do? Just plug into the back of the carburetor. I assume that after you put the turbo on and you're putting the whole system under boost, won't you blow off the hose for the booster, or maybe even hurt the booster, or no? Or am I just like, I've never had a turbo carbureted car, so I have no idea. I really need my other sets of screwdrivers. I'm just stripping out this thing. This is kind of weird. Why is it set up like this? One shaft, it sits on the flat side. On the other shaft, it sits on the inside. That's really weird. What's also weird is that these two aren't connected. Like on the regular one, well, I have one here. I'll put it over there, but you have this right here, and then you've got nothing over here. Interesting. Huh. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know what this belongs to. I assumed it was a 600. That's why I grabbed it, but it might not be a 600. All of you guys got really quiet all of a sudden. We went from 6 people in the chat to 2. Who's left in here? It's either James, Infamous Nova, Jasmine. One of you guys correct me. No, there's only one. I'm gonna have to look up. This is still here. You know, you can run a mechanical brake system. They have really upgraded the mechanical brake system with all the drag cars. Yeah, you can. That's weird. There's 2 of you guys here, but my little thing says there's only 1 guy here. So I don't know. Yeah, you can do that, or you can run a vacuum pump off the accessory drive. You could also switch over to Hydro Boost brakes, or like James said, you could switch over to brakes without a booster. You could do that as well, because I'm not sure. See, look at this thing. So weird. I'm not sure what kind of reaction you'll have with your turbo and a traditional brake booster. But like I said, I don't actually know. And another thing, why are the butterflies 2 different colors from the front to the back? I was looking at that. Well, not only are they 2 different colors, they're 2 different types of throttle shafts. So you've got this shaft that's up here on top, and you got no shaft here. You flip it around, you still got a shaft here, and you have a shaft here. So I think I don't know. There's a list number 6231, so maybe I can look that up. Let me see. Let me see if Google works on this thing. This computer is super slow. I use it for tuning, but for anything else, it's super slow. Holley 6231. 6231. Is it a spread bore? What is it? You tell me. I don't think it's a spread bore. Let's see. It is a 4160. I'm looking up on carburation.com. So let's see. A 6231 is 67 accelerator pump. Doesn't give me any information on jets. Oh, this is a 72. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, this is off because it's off of the 72 Dodge 413. So the 72 Dodge 413, is it an RB? I think it's an RB. big block. And I remember that I have actually that might even be the main body. One of those is the main body for the 600. But it was a 600. I remember now. But I don't understand why it's like that. Mechanical. What brakes do you have, James? Mechanical, but they're set up for mechanical, so it's not as good as vacuum brakes, but it's not far off, and you don't have to worry about the vacuum. That is true. Especially if it's more of a race car, anything else, um, you might benefit from manual brakes. Yeah, that's the shaft that goes that has the split, exactly like you said. It's pretty interesting. I could probably switch it out for one of the more modern ones. The Dodge carburetor Holleys weren't very popular, so they have stuff. And then this screw's messing with me. Like how many of these Holleys have like a round head screw? Like seriously, most of them are like this. Why is that like that? I don't know. Pretty dumb. So what I'll do is, let me see what I got here. Normally I could just turn it into a flathead and just yank it out of there, but like I have I don't have any more cutting wheels for my Dremel. I'm gonna have to go out and buy some. Yeah, nope. So I can't turn it into a flathead just yet. I'm gonna have to just deal with it for right now and try to get it out of here on my own. Oh, here was a Phillips. I could have used this one. It's too late now. And then it didn't like, this screwdriver didn't really like it. Let me go sharpen this. I'll be right back. Alright, what did I miss? Our side. I went in and sharpened the tip of this because I ended up breaking it. So let's see if now I've got a cleaner shot at this. Doesn't look like it. It's almost out, but it's not working. It was a brass screw that you could open up the butterfly and just use the blade of a hacksaw and do a flathead. Yeah, exactly. So I was planning to do that with my Dremel tool, but it doesn't look like I'll be able to until I buy some blades for it. So I'm going to actually screw it in. Looks like it'll still screw in. So let's maybe I have the spot here. So I'm going to 180 on this thing. Yeah. Yeah, so let's pretty much got rid of the whole thread of the screw, so let's try this out again. There we go. That's it. Bada boom, bada bing. Done. It is out of here. Just barely managed to save it. It was there was probably still part of the steak in there, and I was fighting that. So I'll just pop this back out. Done. These are really light, by the way, and they're not exactly flat. Let me show you. These are like aluminum, and the edge. Let's see if I can. It shows up on camera. It's not exactly like flat. If I put my screwdriver up against it, let me grab a different screwdriver, and put it straight up and down, you can see that there's like a chamfer on the tips of this on both sides. So these are directional. So weird, and they're super light. So probably these go on the secondaries. So I wonder if there was a reason to install aluminum vacuum secondary plates. I'm gonna have to look this up. This is super interesting, really weird, because this is one of the ones that off of the 750 that I just took off, and it's heavier, way heavier than this one. I don't have to worry about damaging the shaft, mating surface of where the bushings are. Yeah, you're right. And I was gonna swap it out anyway for a more traditional shaft. But if I can sandblast this and keep this in a good condition, I might just go ahead and reuse them and then just replace the screws that I messed up, which isn't a big deal. So this thing's super rusted. But after I run this in the sandblaster and just tape off the mating surfaces for the bushings, I should be okay. I'm just taking apart like a bunch of carburetors. I have a stack of just random parts. But this is a 600 base plate, so I will be able to reuse this for this this project that I have for Mr. Never could figure it out. So moving on to the primaries, I was having an issue with the leaking throttle primary on the one that I'm building. So this one seems like it's in way better shape than the one I'm taking off, and plus this one was made for a Dodge, so it has the Dodge linkage on it, which will be perfect because he's running it on a Mopar 360. So now hopefully I can get it to back off half a turn, and I can Dremel the other side. Let's see. Can't wait to fire up your LS swap. Me either, let me tell you. Make sure you send a video of it running. Oh, there we go. I think, James, you just made an Instagram, right? You sent me a message, and you had to make an Instagram to send me a message. Was that right? You know what's interesting about this 600 is that I don't know if it's from the factory or what, but they did drill out holes in the base plate on these throttle blades, and I don't know if it's a factory thing or somebody did it. but it's there. So this is really weird. I need a different screwdriver. I had a really good one for this, but the gnomes probably took it or something. Okay, that's another one. I just want to do a half turn just so I can trim down the other side of the brass screw, and then hopefully it'll just I just don't want to gall it up like I did the other ones. Okay. So I just need that one, right? I can tell. Yeah. That one. The other ones have already been turned around. I'm not sure either if it was factory or not, but I bought some Holley carburetors that came factory with holes drilled into place out of the box. So it might be a factory thing. I don't like the holes drilled into them. I know a lot of people do when they have really radical cams, or when they have a radical cam and it's really hard to get them to run, so you add that to give them a little bit more air. But on all modern carburetors that have four-corner idle, you shouldn't need to drill anything on your carburetor. You just open up the secondaries. At least from what I've been able to tell. Yeah, the gnomes just take everything. It's so annoying. I had a bunch of screwdrivers here that I was using to rebuild carburetors. Left for a couple days, came back, and they were gone. So who knows where they went. This carburetor is going to be a 4160 anyway, so it doesn't vacuum secondaries. Or vacuum secondary. It doesn't need four-corner idle. I'm going to have to use the big one. I mean, it's not even possible for it to have four-corner idle with as a 4160. What brand of screwdriver do you prefer? Seeing how the ones you're using not cutting it for you. Well, these are actually I just picked up a set off of Harbor Freight, believe it or not. I don't have a preference of like screwdriver brands. I've used Stanley, I've used Craftsman, I've used Snap-on. I have a little bit of everything in my toolbox, which I don't have here until I go back to my parents' house and go pick that up. I'm not. I mean, as long as they don't immediately start bending as soon as you start using them. I like the Harbor Freight ones because they come with like a whole kit with the Yasmin. Okay, I'm gonna say that correctly. I keep saying Yasmin, right? I think so, or Yasmin, but it's Yasmin. Okay. So I like this because they're like $6, $7, and the screwdrivers are not bad. I have some of these older. This is my second set of these Harbor Freight ones, and the first set I bought was a couple years back. Oh, it looks like we got some wear. We got some wear on this, or maybe they're supposed to look like that. Let's pull off. Let's grab this So this one's pretty much perfectly round, a little bit of flatness along the edges, not too much. These ones right here are completely flat, and it looks like we've got some wear right there, and not too much on this side. So it might have not been aligned correctly. Someone might have taken it off already once. But it might be a factory hole. It's pretty well lined up. So who knows? Could be a factory thing. No idea. The Quinn version are pretty good from Harbor Freight. Quinn? I haven't seen Quinn. I've seen Icon, but I haven't seen Quinn. This is like the little cheapy one. I don't even know, Pittsburgh. I think these are just all Pittsburgh. I like them. They work. I especially like this one. Really big screwdriver for a bunch of stuff. I tend to use it very frequently. I like to keep it around. Use it as a pry bar a lot. I'm still wondering why they're brass butterflies on the primaries and aluminum butterflies on the secondaries. You and me both, man. That is weird. This whole base plate's been weird. And actually, I want to say that the 613 was the one that had the boosters that had. I'll show you right now. I think I set it over there. I'm gonna grab it right now. I showed it in a video. I showcased it in a video when you're the video I used Holley's. That particular had that particular main body had cuts missing out of the boosters, and then I looked into it more, and that was a factory thing that they would use to prevent the carburetor from feeding specific cylinders more than it needed to. And I noticed that on one side it was pointed one way, and on the other side it was pointed another way, so that might have something to do with the way the dual plane intake on the factory Holley's was set up. So it might just be, well, Holley didn't really power a lot of Dodge engines for the most part. It was more of a Ford thing. Chevy kind of did the whole quadrajet thing. So you don't really have anything out of the Chevy side too much. There are some here and there, but nowhere near as much as the Ford. But Dodge used that a little bit. I mean, they even use their six-pack system. So looking at this one, you still have that wear here. Pretty good amount of wear right there. And a lot of wear on this side. And then these are metal. These are steel. Look at that. These are steel throttle blades. And then aluminum for the secondary. So weird. That is interesting. Dodge, I always thought Ford was the one that put a lot of weird stuff inside the OEMs, but now that I'm tearing this apart, it looks like Dodge decided to do a couple changes to the standard 1850 carburetor. The actual shaft looks in good shape. Not too much wear on that. This is the important part, really. This is what we need for his for Mr. Never could figure it out. This is the throttle shaft that we need for Dodge vehicles. So this to let the kickdown work properly. A lot of the OEM aftermarket, like for example this one, this is a standard throttle shaft, and then this is the factory Dodge one, and you can see that there's a pretty big difference. And so your throttle cable goes here and the kickdown goes over there. So you have both of them working simultaneously. So we're going to be, it should be the same length. Yeah, see, so they're exactly the same length. This one's for a 650, I'm assuming, because the center's a little bit smaller. This one's for a 600 because the center's a little bit bigger. But either one should work. I don't think the base plate's gonna find out. I'm checking to see if there's any galling or anything, but it looks fairly clean. I think just for good measure, I'm going to install a brass insert anyway on the primary side. I don't think we had any issues on the secondary side, but I am going to sandblast the whole thing just to get it nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and finish taking it apart. So, yeah, these Harbor Freight screwdrivers aren't bad. I like them. I like them. It's just, I don't have the right ones. It's like a 10-piece kit, and the ones that I use the most are the ones that are missing, both the Phillips and the flathead. So it's not the screwdriver's fault, it's the gnome's fault. And actually, this one's missing the set screw. Remember what I was talking about earlier? This one's actually got a missing set screw for the secondary, so there we go. Yeah. And this one I'm just going to remove before I sandblast it so I don't end up wearing this thing down. I'm just going to polish it up, get that good to go. But now I've got a 600 base plate, and should be able to finish that 600 by Christmas. Hopefully sooner. But yeah, I'm not noticing any kind of unusual wear patterns. It looks fairly good. So there's a 600. Oh, look at this. Look what we got here. Another one. Just like it. Only this one I don't think is... Actually, this one's got... Somebody chopped this off. But check this out. Got the same aluminum secondaries and steel primaries, just like that other one that we just worked on. The shape is a little bit different. And this one's missing the stop as well. 202. This one's got the holes in it as well on the primary throttle blades. So you got the holes right here. You got the aluminum secondaries, and it say 202. What do these say? These don't say anything. Grab the second one. Yeah, these don't say anything. Weird. And then this thing's got like pins. Oh, the pins that go through. So this one uses 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then nothing in the middle. But the shaft is broken. So it looks like, let's see. Well, it doesn't look like the same shaft. So this is going to be off of a different carburetor. It's similar, but not the same. Actually, it's very different. This one might even be longer. But it is a vacuum secondary, so the secondary does look the same. So this is probably going to be for a 600 as well. Let's see if we can find a list number on this. Yeah, I can't really ID this base plate because it doesn't look it doesn't quite look exactly like the other one. So this is the one that we were just working on, right? So there's a lot of differences. First of all, the vacuum's on a different side, which isn't a big deal because it looks like this has an option to have a vacuum here. So it could have had an option, optional vacuum to the side. This looks like it's the same. This has like an extra stub here for some reason, for strength. I don't know. Stub off the side. And then the way the secondary is set up is different as well. Like the casting on this one goes all the way to the edge, whereas this one does not. And the primary side as well. This looks the same. It only goes up to here, just like this one does. And then the casting for here is the same. Those carburetors might be vehicle specific, ordered by the manufacturer. I'm assuming this is another Dodge one, but the shaft kind of looks like it's Ford. This right here kind of looks like a Ford shaft. So, and then this thing doesn't even close fully. So yeah, this one's due for a rebuild, and it's got play. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the video. It's got a pretty good amount of play, so this one's due for a rebuild anyway. So I don't know if I'm gonna leave the holes there. I really don't like to. I'd rather just set up the metering block correctly, and then give the idle feed screws enough fuel to cover any kind of lean spot at idle and transition. So I'm going to leave this one alone because we know it's probably another 600. Let me grab a different base plate. I like to ID these things. I've got another one, broken ear. This one looks like it was a like a off-the-shelf Holley, like a new one kind of. But this one's got the messed up throttle shaft right here. If you were to plug the holes, how would you do it? If you wanted to plug the holes, you can drill it out even bigger and run, what's the smallest? I forgot what the smallest rivet, 3/16 or maybe even smaller than that. You would basically drill this out and then run a 3/16 rivet or whatever the is. Drill it out, install the rivet, and that's it. Like, it's perfectly plugged. It'll probably cause a little bit of a restriction, but if you're playing with a 600 vacuum secondary, you're probably not worried about maximum performance. So if you wanted to plug it, you could just rivet it shut. That's one way. You could weld it, but you'd probably warp it, so that's not a very good idea. This one's got this one looks even fine. Well, so I don't think we're going to be able to find a list number on this one. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. What about really small grub screw with some strong Loctite? I'd probably be very sketched out using a screw, just because it can back out even with Loctite, and then there goes one of your valves. So I probably wouldn't want to run a screw in there. I mean, you can try it, but I'd probably rather just use a rivet, because the rivet won't do anything. Like, to harm the engine, it's not going to come out ever unless you actually drill it out. So we did find some numbers here. 61,945. Let's check that out. Let's check on the interwebs. 61,945. 45. Enter. Let's check this out. Holley carb. Mopar. Interesting. It's coming up on the Mopar forums. Let's check this out. On the choke. Doesn't list anything. Dual choke towers. Yeah. One for the back barrels and one for the front. That's weird. Carter ABS. Holley, it's stamped all over it. So this is for a 600 as well. Two on the bottom of the base plate. Bottom of the base plate? Oh yeah, there it is. 1850. It is a 600 vacuum secondary. I should have just flipped it around from the beginning. So yeah, this was a 600 vacuum secondary carburetor, which is no good anymore because, well, the base plate because it's broken. So we're going to be salvaging this one as well. Now that I'm here, my throat's hurting. I was out late yesterday laying down the concrete, so I feel like I got sick. So I might end up closing out the stream pretty soon. There we go. That one popped off. Those little clips are also super handy to keep around because you will end up losing them. And you'll need to find a random one. But all of this stuff has to be blasted, powder coated, or at the very, there's silicone on this thing. Look at that. There's silicone. What the heck? It looks like they dropped it pretty hard because they even loosened this thing up, as you guys can see. Look at that. So I've got to actually weld this shaft. I should be able to, right? They're both steel. Let's check. Yeah, that's steel. Yeah, see, so they're both steel. Back in the days, we used to have a trick when we'd make a spacer plate out of a 1-inch piece of solid wood that would dissipate heat in the fuel, would burn hotter, hence horsepower. You can still buy like wooden spacers and phenolic spacers. You can buy them brand new, but I don't know. For a daily, I wouldn't run a wooden spacer. I think you'd end up burning right through it. But I would run a plastic spacer, which I am running on my truck. It is a 2-inch spacer and it runs really good. Alright. Sorry for the noise. I think I lost some viewers just because of the noise. My bad. Throat's starting to hurt quite a bit. So let's do these. We want nice, clean. Let's see. What brand you say my viejo tan chingado? What brand? You're gonna have to repeat that for me. I don't quite understand your question. What brand did I say my viejo? Viejo? Your man? Your man is screwed up? I think that's what you're trying to tell me. I don't think I can help you with your man. James. Well, like I said, back in the days that we didn't have Amazon and eBay, so we had to chisel. Yeah, I saw a video on YouTube where old school race car drivers would fabricate their own spacers to actually compete things to offer you. But nowadays, you can. I mean, like I said, you can still buy spacers, and they still do insulate really well. Probably better than probably better than the plastic ones because of how dense they are. But I just haven't had the opportunity. Plus, I couldn't find any affordable wooden spacers that were 2 inches thick because I really wanted a 2-inch spacer to try it out, see what the difference is. Turns out it was a pretty big difference. So I'm kind of happy I went with the 2-inch. Really helped out a lot. And I'm going to make a video about jetting with spacers and headers because I just did a test as well, and I go ahead and tell you. I ran my truck without headers, and my whole truck, my whole fuel curve leaned out more air per stroke, which means it was producing more power without the mufflers. Not really anything amazing because Engine Masters did a video on that as well. That you do end up losing a lot of horsepower when you install the exhaust, or at least a restrictive exhaust. Running dual 2.5s into a single 3-inch, and I still noticed a big difference in AFR. So I'm going to need to there we go, verify my results by doing it on a different vehicle before I make a video on it. I think Yasmin, I think you were asking me about the brand of the screwdrivers, which I think I said Harbor Freight Pittsburgh is the ones that I'm using right now. Let's see. Okay. There we go. I'm getting good at this. First couple tries didn't work out very well, but now I can go ahead and separate this, put this on my bench, tack weld it back on, and I should be able to put this back into service. And we should be good to go, which is always a good thing. Let me save this. This is a blue cam, black cam. I don't know. Somebody must have switched this out. It's supposed to be pink. It's supposed to be a pink cam or the white cam. Oh, never mind. It is a white cam. It was just dirty. Yeah, it's just dirty, but it is a white cam. So yeah, that's normal. Yeah, so I'll fix this and I'll set that to the side. I'm gonna take this apart, take off this, and then the rest will go to scrap, just like the 850. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be a carburetor dealer. These extra parts. Just kidding. But I do want to buy used ones so I can rescue them. A lot of people seem to be taking them directly to the junkyard, which I have seen, and I actually should. What'd you say? I have two. Going to be on a review on the Harbor Freight cement mixer, which I just used yesterday. I assembled it and used it, so I have my review on that one. And then the second one is going to be, I think I talked about that earlier, but I recorded the problems that I'm having with my MSD system, and then on video it's running like garbage, and then I turn it off and I turn it back on and it's running regular again. So that's a quick video. I'm just going to throw that together and post it up. So that one's going to be easy. So that'll go up. I don't think. Do you have a flow bench? I don't have a flow bench. That'd be really nice if I have a bunch of. But what I do have is, believe it or not, West Tech, the same place where Engine Masters and Richard Holdner do their videos. West Tech's only like 30 minutes away from me. So if I probably should do a video about going out to West Tech and getting one of my carburetors flowed or something. That would be really cool. Because I do admire the guys at Engine Masters, Richard Holdner, all those guys really do really good work. I do like their videos quite a bit. Okay. It's kind of when you start specking out what kind of engine you want for a swap. Like for example, we have our 69 Scout that we're going to be doing a 4.8 swap, which is that same thing I'm going to be setting up in my engine room. Um, and then, yes, 2 days ago, I was talking to my brother, and I was like, well, what if you put a small block Mopar in it? Because the small block Mopars are really small, and you can run the OEM transmissions and transfer cases to keep the passenger drop on the differential. But for the amount of money it's going to cost to set one up properly, even a 318 or a Magnum 360, if the heads are good, it's not even worth it. Um, yeah, that would be super fun. Um, if I went out to West Tech, I'm planning to. I was hoping to head out there, but Corona's not going to be letting me do that anytime soon. Let's see. I'm just going to remove this set screw, and then the rest of this is garbage. Yeah, so I've got a lot of videos planned, but because of the whole new house situation, I haven't had the opportunity to get a lot of filming done. The International Scout came with the 304 V8, not this one. This one came with the what is it? A 2.5, 2.4 4-cylinder. So I think on the little tag on the fender tag it says 86 horsepower. Which I don't know about you, but I don't think it's going to be enough to let it the tires. So if you haven't, I do have a video on the Scout. If you want to go back in time a little bit, I go through the whole truck, and I pop the hood, and you can see the 4-cylinder on there. It's a single barrel. It's a single barrel 4-cylinder that we got running the other day. Actually, I should have recorded it. I probably will make a video on it. But it doesn't accelerate. It uses a Holley single barrel, and the whole carburetor shot. We can fill it up with fuel and it'll run, but it won't accelerate. The accelerator pump is blown out, so it's gonna need a new carb for sure. This is garbage. I have this one as well. This one seems to be like a standard base plate for, I think it's going to be for a 600. There's a number here, 10665. And it's going to probably have another number here on one of the legs. I guess not unless they're go-kart tires. Yeah, unless they're go-kart tires for sure. Yeah, no, it's gonna get a 4.8. If it was a factory V8, I would have probably left it alone and then just redone the Scout as is. But it's a 4-cylinder, so we're gonna have to do an engine swap anyway. And swapping it over to its factory engine is gonna cost a lot more than just LS swapping it for sure. 61,947. That's one of the numbers on here. And then the one on the bottom of the base plate was a 10665. So let's go ahead and look that up back on the interwebs. 10665, enter. It is a 650, really? Oh, no. No, that is not. It is not a 650. The number came out wrong. It's got a 311 primaries, and then let's see what it's got on the secondaries. 109, 311 and 109. That sounds like a 600. Let's check this out. If you still have all the four-wheel drive equipment, you can call it advanced adapters and they can meet your LS swap factory drivetrain. I hadn't thought about that actually. We were actually it does have the four-wheel drive stuff. Everything's still there. It does have, I think it's like it has dual sticks on it. And it is a manual 4-speed maybe. But it's not my Scout. It's my brother's Scout. I was just helping him do the swap, but he really adamant about turning it into an automatic. Probably gonna do like a 4L60 with the 4.8, or he was gonna do a 4L80 with the 4.8. But it was gonna be a 4.8. 61947. Let's check that out. Yeah, it's an 1850 base plate as well. Looks like I have a bunch of these 1850s. Different throttle. Let's see, this one in good shape? Nope, it's loose. It's got a loose little throttle arm. Yeah, 4160, 600. So on the listing, it looks like it's kind of like a it's kind of like an eBay type thing. They sold it May 1, 2017. Somebody bought it for $25, $15 shipping. So they paid $40 shipped for a complete base plate, and it actually looks exactly like this one. So this is another 600, which is nice because I have 3 or 4 600 main bodies, and in fact, this is a 575. This one's a 575, and it's supposed to be able to use a 600. So where is that 600 that I had earlier? It uses 600 Venturis, but let me see. Is that right? Oh yeah. Is it on there? Let's see, which one's the primary side? It is this side. Primary, where is the choke tower? This side. So yeah, I had it on right. Primary side, like this. So let's get some screws. Advanced adapters still make that transfer case to a 4L60 or 4L80. Adapters is a shit. That way you can still keep your transfer case front end and rear end. That is actually a really good idea. I am definitely going to let him know that we can keep the drivetrain, but I'm pretty sure he wanted to swap, because if you watch the video on the Scout, you'll notice that somebody welded a whole auger system to the back of the Scout. So the frame is pretty much shot. After we cut it all out, we're gonna see how much of it is still salvageable, and see if we either have to replace sections of the frame, or maybe replace sections of the frame, or maybe get a different frame. And if we do get a different frame, I was thinking about taking and buying an XJ, a Jeep Cherokee, and doing a body swap and putting on the 69 Scout body on like a 90s XJ, and then just do an LS swap on the 90s, on a 90s chassis. That way we can use the Dana 44 or Dana 30, and then maybe upgrade to Dana 44. front diff and then a Ford 8.8 rear. We can still probably save that frame because it's a square it's a square it's it's a square frame. It's not a C-channel frame, so it might still be savable. So it just depends on what we end up doing. So this is a 575, and it uses a 600 Venturi, but it uses a 650 throttle plate. So you can't really tell. Actually, did I move the camera? There's a ridge right here where the throttle bore of the Demon stops and the throttle bore of the space plate begins, and it's probably a 1/16 of an inch ledge. Keep bigger me while you're trying to listen to your. Oh, he was bugging you while you're trying to listen to the streaming. Yeah, bothering you. My bad. I'll go through it. I'll go through a couple points right now. But yeah, the Demons, when Barry Grant had Demon, they were experimenting with all kinds of stuff because both my 650 double pumper over there and this 575 double pumper use the same base plate, but the Venturis are different. And then my 675, my 625 had a different Venturi size as well. So I have no idea what they were doing, but they were just going crazy with a bunch of different sizes of carburetors. All right, so I'm gonna put. Oh, whoops. I'm gonna put that one away. I want to grab. I had. Oh, this one. No, this one. Okay. So I have this one. So Yasmin, I think we were talking about the screwdriver types, and I was saying that the Harbor Freight ones work really well because for like $6 or $7 you can get like 15 of them, and they come with like different sizes, different types, but I keep losing the really important ones, so I'm probably going to buy a third set now just so I can have all the different screwdrivers that I need, and maybe the gnomes will stop stealing them. I know Icon, they're selling this new Icon brand inside Harbor Freight, which is supposedly really good, maybe comparable to like Blue Point, but I believe James was also, he mentioned this other brand, which I haven't heard of. Let's see let me go back in the chat and see if mechanical secondaries. We're talking about brakes. Where is the screwdriver? You're gonna have to remind me, James, because I can't find the post about your screwdrivers. But I've tried all the other brands, but it's just a screwdriver. Stanley, the Stanley ones are fine. The Craftsman, I really like the Craftsman ones because they have 6 sides instead of these Harbor Freight 3 sides. The Craftsman one have 6 sides, and so they're better on your hands. I don't really like this rubber thing. It kind of wears out my fingers. Don't really like it, but yeah, whatever I can take. Screwdrivers are screwdrivers to me. I don't really have a preference, at least not yet. All right, so looking at this base plate, this is a real interesting base plate, and I've been looking at it for a while. What's the difference between the white or paint cam? Not too much. I have both of them right here. So this, let's see, they're both paint cams, right? Yeah, so this is a paint cam. And then I have a white cam. It wasn't me. You didn't mention a screwdriver brand? It could have been Infamous Nova then. Um, let me see. Where is the white cam that I had earlier? You can look up a chart. There's a chart online. Pretty much tell you. It'll pretty much tell you the curve, the field curve of each cam. I think it's this one. So let's see. If you put them up side to side, you can tell that the white cam, the clear cam, is a little bit more aggressive. So they're basically overlaid back to back. The holes are pretty much lined up as well. So the first hole, exactly the same, but it begins at a higher slope. So you're gonna need to adjust down the arm, but it shoots out the same amount of fuel. So this one just brings out fuel quicker. With the white cam, it'll probably be a little bit more responsive than with the pink cam. Where it changes is the holes for the second screw, for the number 1 position and number 2 position. So you can do a couple different combinations. This one's got 3 holes in it, so you have 3 different positions. So if you wanted to line up in the same hole, you could actually move this thing forward, and now you've got the same curve. If anything, now the pink one's a little bit more aggressive because now this one has a 3rd hole. Or you can move this one even further forward. Let's see. Richard Holdner just started the live stream on his 500 Cadillac. Really? This late? 800 p.m. or 8 p.m. My stream should be pretty much over. I shouldn't even be on this long, but I should jump over there and check it out. I can't do it on this computer. I'm gonna have to do it on my other computer, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with this, and I'm probably going to close up the stream. Maybe get to this base plate a little bit later, because my throat is killing me. But if you line up the secondary holes right here, the curve stays almost the same, but the white cam ends up a little bit further out. But like I said, the pink cam does have 3 holes in it, so you can line up any of these holes together, and the curve's going to end up almost exactly the same. So in essence, depending on what hole you are, these 2 cams can work almost identical. But if you just leave them both in the stock position, the white cam is going to be a little bit more aggressive than the clear cam or the white cam. And it's the same thing for any, like this is an older OEM one. This is a newer like AED one, and the curve is exactly the same. The holes are in the same spot, so it didn't really change over the years. A lot of people like to run the blue cam. Let's see, it's this one, because it's a little bit more aggressive, because at the very end it pulls out a little bit further out than the pink one, and it has a little bit higher lift, like hardly anything, but it does lift out. So people like to run the blue cam over the pink cam whenever possible. And then if you advance the cam from one hole to the next hole, it gets really aggressive. So it just, you're better off looking at the fuel curves online. They have nice little charts on there that'll match each one. But I tend to just like to install the 50cc one and just go for it. I really like the way it performs with the 50cc, especially on an LS. An LS really wants a lot of fuel, and a 50cc likes to feed it. Hey, I'm going to take a picture of my K10 and put it on Instagram, so if you see it, so you can see it with my new motor and everything. That'll be cool. I actually got to start following some of you guys back, especially some of you that I talk to more frequently, like Yasmin and Infamous Nova, you. Never could figure it out. I don't know if I'm following him, but I should be. Yeah, some of you guys that I talk to more frequently, I should. I'm gonna go back and follow. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and end up this stream right now because my throat is killing me. So I had a great time today, guys. It was a lot more lively than it usually is, so this is always fun. Next week, Sunday. This week I'm going to post up, I think, 3 videos instead of my usual 1 video. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about in the next weekend. Hopefully I'll have the 4.8 running with the new Smart Spark LS. So fingers crossed, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.